Hello, hello. You're listening to the Fight Game with Tim McKain, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing bare knuckle fighter Crystal Pittman. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. I'm doing well. So, what led you to sign with bare knuckle fighting championships?
So, I have been interested in bare knuckle for since they came out. I've been watching them and following them. And when they came out, because we had already been training, Muay Thai, MMA, and stuff like that. And I was instantly like to my coach, I was like, what do you think about me going bare knuckle? Because I love stand up and I've been training jujitsu a long time. But it's my ankles and my knees and fight camps. I was always having to pull out of jujitsu because of so many injuries. And I just honestly, I'm not a jujitsu girl. So I do it to defend myself. I like to roll dirty, but girl got to do what she got to do. But I just, um, I'm just so much more intrigued with bare knuckle, something that I absolutely, absolutely love. I love watching. I love how long it's been around, the history of it.
Mhm.
Um, and and it's just so intriguing to me. So for months, it is just go so crazy how it's like putting it out in the universe. I kind of feel like, manifestation, so
Mhm.
I was when they had posted Paige's fight against Hart, I on their little thing, I was like, can I call out both of them? I was like, just another fan, whatever back then. And 3 months later, I'm getting signed. So it's like really exciting.
Yeah, congratulations. And what was that like when you've been following bare knuckle fighting champions for such since it started, and then finally getting that call and saying we want you to be a part of our organization? What was that experience like for you?
It was man, I can't even explain the feeling. It was more like in shock feeling. I was like more in shock. And I think after it still kind of like settled in. I was like very calm. I was
Mhm.
like, what? Like kind of just, but I think I cried maybe for like a week straight, to be honest. If we're getting mushy around here, it was just because I had, years ago when I stepped into, well, my fiance now stepped into his gym. It's the same thing. Everybody wants to come in, they want to fight. And I kind of felt like I was put on this kind of path. And that's why I instantly went into training and flashing back to when I first walked in, it's like, hey, this is where I want to be. And then by the time I hit like 35, I was like, I want to be making my big pro debut by the time I turned 35. And COVID hit, and we went through so many fallen fight camps last year. So it was so crazy because like a week before they had contacted us, like, man, my birthday's in August. And it's like, it's okay. I'll just keep working hard. Maybe I'll be able to make my huge, pro debut and get out there somewhere and fight. And and then a week later, here is this huge phone call, and here we are today, getting ready for a big pro debut fight.
Yes, yes, congratulations. So
Thank you.
let, let's go to the beginning. Let's go to the very beginning. When did your love for the fight game begin?
Mm. I don't know, maybe like five. No, just kidding. um, ever since Jesus, ever since this round, I've been watching and following fighting. I can't even remember. Um, Gosh, I really started following it kind of like in my early 20s, just because I had older brothers and they did like that underground like pride fighting, and so it's like I was like the sister that they would like throw me in no training, and I'm just like ah.
Okay.
Survival of the fittest. So it's
Yeah.
probably why I love bare knuckles so much, because it's like survival of the fittest, right?
Okay.
So
I get it.
so we were always training. It was just something that my brothers, um well, my brother, he was like my brother-in-law, but and I have another brother, but it was just something that him and the cousins, and they just kind of threw me in there, and we were just, I was just a rough, rugged girl. So that's really how it all started.
And when did the nickname Rugged Beauty come into play? That nickname, Rugged Beauty.
So that came into play. It was kind of when I was, people be like, oh dang, she's like really like, she's this girl, she's like looks a little like she's rough, she's um people always tell me that like she's pretty brutal, but really pretty. The people will kind of like say that, but what it really happened was in my life, I kind of created that name for myself, and it ended up sticking because my life from childhood to now, I was somebody for myself, and it took a lot for me to grow through the experiences that I went through. But I was able to endure a very rugged life, and a very unbalanced and crazy life, and still hold my head up and be where I am today. So it took a lot of strength, definitely. So I kind of look at myself as very rugged, you know, and but still having like a beautiful heart. So
So how did those experiences, those early experiences, shape you into who you are? That mentality. Did that mentality of finding strength in who you are and being able to uh, fight through those challenges, both inside the ring and outside, when you were young, how did those experiences help you become the lady you are today?
it definitely helped me grow. It's crazy because you think those things will hold you back. A lot of things would hold you back, and a lot of people are not able to get past things. You know what I mean? That happen, like traumas and stuff like that happen when they're younger. A lot of people aren't able and don't know how to seek help, or don't know how to be strong enough to, not that they're not strong enough, but they just don't know how to do it. They don't know the tools, But yeah, it just, the reason why I do what I do now is because I'm doing it for other people now, So I do have a story, and and it's a very personal story as far as like things, the stories as to why, um, to my why. I kind of keep that to myself, and it will come out one day. And it's, you know, it's a very crazy, I guess maybe crazy sad story. I don't know, but it's one of those, I kind of keep it to myself because I'm not ever the one that wants like a pity party for things, and but I have a meaning to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
listening to you is kind of like I was listening to an interview with Common, and Common was talking about how, his story. Sometimes stories that we have, it like it influences people because it can say, okay, you went through that, I went through that too, and we can help each other
Mhm.
grow and
Yeah.
become better people. So, how do you plan on using your story to help encourage young women, young men who dealt with similar traumas?
Um, Definitely to help them is that no matter what you go through in life, you're never defeated, and you'll always rise above. So like I try to say is, nobody can burn you in flames if you've already rose from the ashes. And so for me, it's like helping, especially women and men, because unfortunately a lot of men go without help as well. But being able to have that kind of like therapeutic healing through all of this stuff. So that's kind of my pathway into being that kind of person for people who haven't had the opportunity to heal from things. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how has a lot of boxers, a lot of fighters, You know, it's almost like when they step in the octagon, when they step in the ring, it's like their church. It's like their safe haven. So like, how has bare knuckle fighting, how has fighting been your church, been your avenue, your safe haven?
Um, yeah, it's weird. I'm really different, you know. Some people are like, oh, that's my church that saved me, you know, stuff like this. And I don't even, it's crazy. I don't even think about myself when I fight.
Okay.
I'm very different. And Doug, my fiance, my coach, he always says it too. It's kind of just like a switch for me because
Mm,
I'm this very different person on the outside, and people will never look at me as like an aggressive person, you know. Protective person, yes, but in the ring, how it's been, I it's crazy. I don't know. I don't even think about myself when I'm in there. I don't think of it as my church. I really think of it maybe as more of a gravesite, really. I'm just kidding.
interesting. Explain further. When you say graveside, what do you mean? I'm curious.
Well, only one of us is leaving.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Okay. So let's go into that. So when you say only one of us is leaving, okay, was that something that you developed because of what your brothers were doing? Like you guys were just going, you know, you were going headfirst in those battles. Explain those battles that you had with your brothers and how it created um this woman that we see today who is the rugged beauty. Those battles.
Yeah, truly, it was survival of the fittest. Only one of us is leaving. You know, I get a whole bunch of, you know, girls that, you know, or that I've fought in the past that like to say things like, oh, she get her ambulance, she ever gonna see you the light of day again, da 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 da. So I'm instantly like switch on, and I'm like, not today, Satan. And and oh babe, it's in your drink isn't the thing. But I instantly have to flip a switch and be like, okay, well, if you feel that way, then I got you. Like we're gonna go that way. I promise you, you will never fight again.
Okay. Okay. So, question: how much studying goes into um, your training? So, when it comes to like some people that they'll study their opponents, or they might not study their opponents. Their trainers might study their opponents. What is your take on when you're looking at your opponents? How much studying and tape do you look into your opponents that you have to face?
You know, and this is probably where I'm different as well. And I have such a different style. I leave that to um my coaches.
Mm.
I don't like to look at my opponents. I know their names. I don't care what their name is. You know, I'll fight whoever. But you know, we get the name, you know, I give it to my coaches. They do the studying, and they prepare me, because for me, I don't want to know if I have to watch out for something. You know what I mean? I go in there, that's my game. I'm gonna go in and do what I do, you know? So I'm not gonna, a lot of people I feel kind of create this false, I don't know if I'm using the correct word, but um not a false fear, but if they're constantly watching their opponent, why are you watching what they're doing?
Hmm.
Why do you wanna trick your mind? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I think I totally understand your perspective because I know there was a fighter who I interviewed recently, and she told me that fighters know who they're better than and who they're not better than. You
Mm-hmm.
know, based on their tapes. They're like, well, like you know, so like how much of that actually goes on for you personally? Have you like tried to like contact the fighter, but then they're like, no, I've seen your tape, I've seen your work, I don't want to fight you. Has that ever happened to you? And what is that process like when you're like, okay, these people, they're literally ducking me?
Yeah, we had that actually last year. People, and it's crazy because I've only, you know, I mean, technically, if you look at my amateur record, I'm 1-0. I mean, I'm a nobody to a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or I should be considered like someone who's low on the, oh, she only got one fight. Excuse me. She only got one fight behind her. One amateur fight behind her. I'll take her. But there was a lot of amateur girls that would pull out like the week of, or someone will see my training and base my training on how I fight maybe, and just kind of be like, we don't want to fight her. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm so used to that. We'd call out a whole bunch of people for amateur before even a fight camp would start, and we'll match up the names and they'll turn our fights down. So it's kind of just, I'm just like, whatever.
I got you. What are some of the greatest moments that you've had in the octagon, whether it be in a battle, in the first fight that you had, or just the sparring sessions that you've had? What are some of what are some of your favorite memories in the octagon or in the ring?
Oh, honestly, my favorite part of the fight is right before the fight. It's probably one of my favorite memory, because that is when I am able to tap into my whole, like, center. I'm able to become this person who I am inside, like that fire that's inside me, and that feeling is amazing to me. And I get to walk out, I'm not scared. You know what I mean? I get to, this is my day. This is my time. I get to be whoever the hell I want to be, and I hop in there, and my favorite, as soon as we get face to face, I'm like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and of course, holding your hand up in the air because you want is also a true favorite.
Oh, absolutely. That's probably the favorite part is you get that dub. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Who are some of your inspirations growing up as a woman? I saw on one of your Instagram or your Facebook that you had the Harley tattoo, the Catwoman tattoo, and I think who the third one was. But who are some of the real life women who like inspired you, and who were like some of those animation type of characters that like inspired you as well as a fighter, but also as a woman?
Are you talking about like other fighters, or are you just talking like Wonder Woman? And
it could be both.
Both. No, yeah, I totally love Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman. I think that it's good to have both those in your life. You know what I mean? Being that Wonder Woman and also being that Harley Quinn. Yes. Okay. You have to be able to harness both of those things. Right? So
I've never thought of them as a mix. I've never thought of that. So that's totally unique. I'm
not mixed.
Okay. Oh.
But yeah, them, actually like a huge inspiration that I looked up to that actually got me through my teen years was Pink, which is really weird. That celebrity, the singer Pink, that I would just be like that she was such a rock star to me, but she got me through. Like, her music was just so connecting with myself. But I mean, as far as fighters, like I told you before, I don't pay attention to a lot of names. I'm not a what do you call it when people
fan?
Not a
like a super fan or a fan or something?
Yeah, like I'm not like a fangirl type person. You know what I mean? I kind of let a lot of things, and also too because I have the worst memory. So I will hear names, and have you ever seen the movie House Bunny? Where she's like, so she, you have to watch it now because it's such a stupid movie, but she forgets people's names like instantly. So she has to be like, some like, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Timothy. She'll be like, Timothy.
Okay.
To like remember the name. I'm totally like that person. I always forget names. So, and at the same time when it comes to fighters, especially like female fighters. I never like to like remember the names, remember their fights. I'll watch the fights, but it's like in and out, because especially like you said, like I told you earlier, if I ever end up fighting any of those people, I don't like to put the fights with the name. I don't care about what they do in their fight. You know what I mean? Like I said, I leave all that to my coaches. So it's kind of one of those, I don't really pay attention to. It's so weird.
I feel you. Yes,
but a lot of female fighters, I just have respect for all of them, and grew up looking up to a lot of the female fighters, almost all of them, just because I see these strong women, and probably less than 1% of women will actually get in a ring and fight and do what we do. And it takes so much courage and strength and mental maturity, honestly, because as women fighters, we really get talked down a lot. Like me, like I've gotten told all the time, I'm too pretty to fight. I'm too nice to fight. I'm a girl. Why do I want to fuck up my face? You know what I mean? Like, just just a whole bunch of stuff, you know? But women were doing bare knuckle back in the 1700s on rooftops before women are supposed. We had our own fight club way back then, okay?
Really? Okay, educate me, because I didn't know about this. Educate me. Okay.
No, like way before bare knuckle came over to the US, back then women were doing bare knuckle too, but it was more of like a smaller group. There, you know, when you read about it, and it's like some of my favorite things to read about, but they had their own like little secret like fight clubs, because women weren't allowed to fight then, you know. So it was like the men's sport. There was no weight classes. There was really no rules. You can get them when they were down, you know. So it wasn't until, gosh, man, it wasn't until I want to say like 1800s is when they started actually pulling in rules and stuff like that. And then they started traveling over to the US to start fighting bare knuckle. So, but yeah, no, women, we were fighting back in the day too.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So any woman that is courageous enough to get into the ring and fight is an idol to me, because that's it's a really powerful thing for women.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing that I've noticed about bare knuckle fighting champions is the fact that Paul Tyler, he does a great job of just like not only managing a lot of the women fighters, but I always see like they're pulling in from the outside looking in. It seems like they're almost getting more female fighters than male fighters when it comes to signing new people. So what are your thoughts on bare knuckle fighting champions signing so many women? And we're actually now seeing more women fighters in the spotlight like they should.
I think it's great, and I applaud them so much. Him and Jules and Susan now, they're doing so great. And a lot of people will be like, it's quality over quantity, but how do you find quality? You know what I mean? If you're just looking for sharks, just like everybody else, you know, and they're just like, oh, we want this good person. Oh, want this good person, this good fighter, and just pulling in people with amazing records. Yeah, that's awesome. But I feel like that's also living in a fishbowl, right? Because there's so many amazing people out there with talent. Like, look at myself. They're taking a chance on me and signing me. And now it's my time to deliver. And this is me getting out of my, you know, I'm here. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to fight her. I don't want to fight her. But now I'm like, boop, out of my little fishbowl in the ocean. You know what I mean? But, you know, I think it's great. They're going to find quality fighters. They're going to find champion fighters. And man, seeing all the women, and beautiful women too, you're starting to see a lot of especially beautiful women who are coming out and not afraid to do bare knuckle. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. It's like we're all coming out of the shadows. We're like, okay, we're here. We've been waiting.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it.
It's such a strong pack. And Christine I love that girl. She's my work wife. She's amazing. Was super accepting of me when I first got introduced out here, and she's a tough mama over there. She's fucking awesome. I can't wait to see her fight again. So
absolutely,
actually probably the only person I fangirl over.
Okay.
I love her.
Are you talking about Christine Ferreira?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And what do you think of the media's representation of women fighters, but also women's sports? Because we're seeing more women fighters being represented, whether it be in bare knuckle fighting champions, UFC, Bellator. But what is your overall thoughts on the media and how they portray women's sports in the fight game and also in other sports as well?
Are they portraying it in a negative way?
Well, for me personally, I feel like that they're not doing it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, when it comes to and I love ESPN, I love FS1, but they'll talk about men's sports every day. They'll talk about LeBron James, they'll talk about Tom Brady, but they don't necessarily. The only time that they'll talk about women's sports is if it's something political. And so that's
Right.
why I always try to make. I was just wanted to know from your thoughts on how does the media um, represent, and also how can the media better portray women's sports than just it being politicized or it being just championship game. Let's talk about the championship game. So how can the media do a better job of representing women in sports?
For me, to be honest, it's hard because I'm not a very, I'm political without being political. Like, I think that it's going to start getting more of, just because women's sports is still in its adolescence.
Mm,
So we're still constantly growing, and I see them, I see them talking a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more about women's sports. I don't have really anything negative to say about media. It's hard because they highlight championship stuff, for women. And but it's so hard for me to really get connected into like that kind of media all the time, just because I'm constantly training. So that's why I'm like, are they saying something negative? What did I miss?
no, it's nothing really negative. It's just the fact that um, for me as a media person, I always want to make sure that I do the job of representing all sports, men and women's,
Yeah.
equally. And
Hmm.
sometimes I feel like that it's not always equally represented the way it
Right.
should. And so that's what I mean by it. And I'm like, how can the media? And so for me, having these kind of discussions is what represents, what I'm saying, an outlet for men and women's sports. And so that young girls can see, hey, look, there's a woman that, like you were talking about, beautiful women. You're saying, okay, I see Christine Ferraro, I see the rugged beauty. I'm like, man, I want to do what she's doing. So that's
Right.
the kind of representation that I think is necessary.
I do. I think it'd be nice to do like highlights, just little highlights of, because there are young girls truly who need and don't have that kind of inspiration, real life inspiration, to see like a real strong woman figure in their life. And so it honestly is always nice when they can focus a little highlights on, hey, like you just said, check out these female fighters coming up. And even if it's not like a huge big championship thing, but it's like it just takes out one person to spark something in somebody, and then you've just changed somebody's life, you know what I mean? So I honestly agree, is showing definitely more little highlights on women's sports, and especially because there's probably a lack of a lot of that, because like you said, women's sports is still kind of up and coming. So trying to dig around and get different, sites of all these women doing these awesome things, it's kind of hard when there's so many men
Yeah,
doing crazy things, you know what I mean? So
that's a fair point. But just FYI for anyone listening, I love ESPN and I love Fox Sports. I'm just putting it out there. It's just just for the people but anyway, my last question is I just had to do it.
y'all don't be mad.
What are your personal keys to success? And what advice would you give to a young person who wants to follow in your footsteps of becoming a professional fighter?
Is to be mentally disciplined. We're going to be faced with things we don't want to do. And truly, I feel like that's how you really train yourself for success. Um, a lot of people focus on giving 1% better every day, like physically, like, but there's a lot of days, I'm telling you, a lot of days where I look like shit. Okay. But it took me 1%, even less than 1%, 1%, 2%. Like, it took me that much to push mentally to get it done, you know? So I'm faced with things I don't want to do every day, you know, with training, like when, like you were talking about, other things are happening, having to take care of this, um, you know, just a lot of things. And to be able to just push yourself mentally and emotionally and know that it's gonna work out. Like, I'll fucking drop everything to just get my training done, even if I'm exhausted. You know, I might be like my 5th day training and I'm all fucked, you know, but being mentally strong is the most important part to get yourself through this game, because without being mentally strong, you really will not make it. You really not. A lot of people will give up like that. And you have to be able to seriously push yourself through those hard times. When you get to that point where you want to cry inside, you're hitting a new limit. You know what I mean? You've broken through the old strength and hit a new, you know, strength bar. That's how I look at it for myself, at least. They say that we only give 40%. The human actually only uses 40% of their capacity. There was a study I was looking at. So every time I train, I'm like, I'm only using 40%. Go on.
I got you. So, that kind of leads me to another question. When have you ever felt like you've gone to where you're like, you know, this is my 80%, 90%, 100%? Have you ever been to that place where you're like, I'm giving it all that I've got? Have you ever reached that level?
Yes, when I'm fighting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You got to give that 100 when
you're fighting.
when it's to the death.
Yeah, that's right. You did say it's either me or you. It's the grave site. You did say that though. You did. Absolutely, absolutely. So where can the people find you on social media? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and when are you fighting next?
So Instagram is the Rugged Beauty. It's so confusing. I have to change it, but it's the _rugged_beauty. But if you just type in the Rugged Beauty, I'll just pop up. Twitter is everything is the Rugged Beauty. Twitter is the Rugged Beauty. My TikTok is the Rugged Beauty. My Facebook, you can just find me under Crystal Pittman. And my next fight, so the tentative date is May 21st, and we're supposed to be, their name is Audra Cummings. We both want to fight each other. It makes sense because this is both a debut for us. So, you know, what better way than to come in there and get some really good experience, you know, and build ourselves up. So we're just waiting on everything to be completed. And so that's telling you without telling you.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Crystal, for your time. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. We definitely gotta do it again. I definitely would love to interview after your fight. May 21st. Everybody, make sure you watch the Rugged Beauty Crystal Pittman fight.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a blast. You have a good one.
And
hey, you know what? Sometimes those are the best fights. That's what the people want to see. And that's what bare knuckle represents. If you want to see a bloodbath, see bare knuckle fighting championships. Right? I'm telling you, blood, all guts, all glory. BKFC. I'm telling y'all gotta see it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Have a good one, Crystal.
You too. Thank you so much.